And welcome back to more Gravity Rush Remastered. Last time, we completed most of the challenges in Endestria, so this time, we're turning our attention to Vendecentre's challenges. From here, there's one really close by. The plaza in front of the station downtown was the perfect spot for meeting up with people, thanks to the giant TV monitor that helped provide entertainment to pass the time. Turn on the TV and help time fly. So that's right over here. It's working. New challenge mission unlocked. The Vendecentre Sweeper Trial. Grab objects with circle and then press circle again to throw them into the goal zone. If you miss the goal area, the objects will break and won't be counted towards your score. The gold score for this is 6,000 points. So I'm going to be blunt. This is potentially one of the tougher challenges in the game. Mostly because you can break things by accident, like that, and also because the game frankly gives kind of bad advice. My advice would be to not throw things, because, as I've mentioned before, throwing things can be a little inconsistent. So if you toss an object towards the goal zone, sometimes it'll clip, like the stairs instead, and break. So my advice would be to simply fly over or use gravity slides, pick up things, and then carry them to the goal. It's a little bit slower, but it is a little bit more reliable. I would also recommend not picking up everything right away. Like, if something's kind of close to the goal, leave it. Because at the end, say you're really close to the point threshold and need points, but don't have enough time to quickly run to another side of the area, it's good to leave a few things close by to pick up for easy points at the last minute. In general, though, no matter how many times I play this game, I always struggle with this challenge. For some reason, this is just a challenge that always gives me some amount of trouble. We're halfway to the score. I don't exactly know how well we're doing on time, because I actually don't know how many time extensions we have left. Here's hoping we have enough time for this. So far, we've had a relatively easy time with all the challenges, but there's always time for a first silver rank. Here's hoping this goes well. I'm trying to think where else we should go from here. There's some objects off to the side that I might stop and pick up over here. A couple of crates in these uniforms. We'll be cutting this fairly close, even if we do clear the goal. We're not above 5,000, and we barely have like 40 seconds left, so this might be a fail. I'm going over here to pick up some of these larger objects that'll be worth more points, so let's take these over quickly. So that's 5,200, we might be able to clear this, but it'll be very close. We have to kind of pick up the pace here if we want to make this target score. 18 seconds left and 400 points to go. We will barely make this, because this is worth 50, and this will be worth 50. So yeah, we somehow made it. But just to demonstrate, let's try to actually toss these. There we go. And that gives us 2,100 gems. Alright, so I think the next challenge is below here. There it is. The ropeway crossing over downtown and around the famous clock tower is a city skyline landmark and a sightseeing favorite. Do a good turn for the town and bring back the ropeway. Alright, so yeah, that's down below, so let's drop down and see if we can figure out where this is. This being the last area, the challenges are fairly tricky and as a result give a lot of gems. So it's definitely worth completing these if you need to level up. Alright, here we are. It's working! New challenge mission unlocked. The Vendecentre Time Attack. Defeat as many Nevi as possible within the time limit. Increase the time limit by defeating enemies. The gold score for this is 3,000 points. That score is oddly low compared to some of the other challenges we've done so far, so we'll have to see how this goes. Looks like there's a flying Nevi here, so let's go after this one first, and then worry about the ground Nevi. So even though the score is slower, that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Because the enemies might be tougher, and there also might just be fewer enemies. There really aren't that many enemies so far. A couple here. This one's in the ground, so that's kind of a time waster having to wait for it to appear. So let's break this. And over here, we actually only have one, so that's slightly concerning, not having that many Nevi to work with to get points. That's why I feel like the Vendecentre, not the Vendecentre, the Industria time attack was not bad, because even though there were a lot of enemies, that also means you get a lot of points. So things kind of even out. Same with the Rift Plane time attack, where there were tons of enemies, so even though the score was like 20,000 points, it was very easy to find enough enemies to make that quota. Here as an example, we've been working on this challenge for a bit now, and we're still only at like 1,000 points because there just aren't that many enemies here. So let's actually lure that one into attacking, defeat that one, and then go back and defeat this one while it's open to attack. We actually have a boss here. This boss again, we saw this one in the Rift Plane time attack, and also as an enemy in episode 19. So yeah, despite this being a boss, it actually comes back quite a bit throughout the adventure. It's kind of cool having an enemy return. This game does reuse a lot of enemies. I feel like the only enemy... Well, again, technically this isn't the boss of the Inferno, because Raven is the boss of the Inferno, but the only boss that technically doesn't come back from a Rift Plane is the Mirage Nevi, which makes sense because of its unique setup. It kind of has to be on a tower, which might kind of limit the amount that you can actually do with a Nevi like that. So we've already looped, which is interesting. It makes sense because there is a fairly low point requirement. I find that you usually have to do like about 2.5 loops, or 1.5 loop is what I meant to say, to actually make the total. So overall, these challenges really aren't that time consuming, like we've already cleared it. Might as well get a little bit higher than the total. But yeah, in general, the time attacks aren't too bad. I don't know how much worse this would be if we didn't have as many upgrades as we did. I feel like this game's level scaling is definitely meant to be catered to multiple types of play. Because we're really high level, so we're kind of cruising through enemy encounters and only struggling with like traversal-based stuff, like with the last challenge we did. Simply navigating to pick up everything was a lot tougher than actual fighting, because One, when you figure out the attack patterns of the Nevi, it's just a matter of avoiding attacks and dealing damage, so it's not that complex. And two, you can easily power through most scenarios just by leveling up things. And frankly, the game letting you level up things in battle is really generous, like surprisingly generous, and definitely makes things a lot more approachable than they would be otherwise. Something else worth pointing out about Vendecentre is that this and Botom are the only two areas that do not have DLC challenges. There are basically only 3 DLC packs, and in the case of the third DLC, the challenges appear in Industria, even though the actual main part of the DLC takes place in Vendecentre, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how that's set up, actually. You'd think the DLC missions would be here if the DLC takes place in, like if the main mission takes place in Vendecentre, you'd think they would put the challenges in Vendecentre, but they put them in Industria instead. I guess it makes sense because one is a rift plane, so, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But yeah, overall, despite the low amount of enemies, it was not that difficult to actually make this point total. So overall, this is actually probably one of the easier time attack missions we've seen so far. It still gives us 2100 gems though, so I can't complain. So from here, I think I want to go and take care of this one. When it was in service, the station attracted a wide variety of shops, many featured as dining hotspots. With the station out of service, shops are beginning to go out of business. Reopen the station to help shops stay open. So this one is back up here. So let's fly on over. Actually, from here, this one might be closer. But we'll worry about this one, since we've already marked this location on the map. So yeah, let's fix up this station. It's working. New challenge mission unlocked. The Vendecentre Free Race. Pass through every checkpoint and complete the race. Use every gravity trick at your disposal to win. The gold time is 1 minute and 22 seconds. I remember this one being kind of weird, actually. Not because the race itself is particularly weird, but because it's barely a free race. You might be noticing that we're using a gravity slide through a lot of this. And that's because this is almost a sliding race, actually, even though it's technically a free race, for reasons that'll become apparent later on. There's very little non-gravity sliding that needs to be done, which is kind of odd. So over here, let's turn and go this way. I do feel like the gravity slide can be a little finicky because of pressing down 2 analog triggers at the same time. Sometimes I find it can be a little bit easy to accidentally press one and not the other. So simply like your roll attack as an example. But overall I do feel like the gravity slide is a very efficient means to get around and fairly easy to activate. But yeah, that was fairly easy. Definitely starting to think these were meant to be played earlier, given how many gems they're giving us. It's like, with the difficulty curve being the way it is, it's like, these were not expecting you to be at this level. but our next challenge is down here. The 40-person capacity air cruiser was the pride and joy of the downtown area, but now the ship is being left to rust without a way to power it. Help the air cruiser fly again. We actually passed by this area for the mission with Adro, so let's finally fix this up. It's working. New challenge mission unlocked. My reputation seems to be improving. This is the Vendecentre airboat race. Make your way from airboat to airboat as you race toward the goal. Be careful not to let any of the moving checkpoints slip by along the way. The goal time is 1 minute and 30 seconds. Now, I remember this mission kind of being difficult, because you're trying to land on moving targets, which is not necessarily easy to do. Also, because you're flying all over the place trying to land on these airboats, they kind of send you all over the place, and it makes it actually difficult to even keep track of where the next waypoint is. So yeah, simply locating everything is definitely the toughest part of challenges like this that send you all over an area. Definitely a cool challenge though, trying to land on small moving platforms, essentially. Kind of tests your ability to precisely control Cat's abilities, or technically Dusty's abilities. Alright, this one's on the underside of this. Alright, we have to land on this tower, and from here we have to fly towards another boat. This is on the side of this one. Alright, so where's the next one? The next one is on the clock tower. And finally, we need to land on this very narrow area of this boat. And with that, we have a lot of gems to work with. We're going to save the final challenge here for next time, and also go through the 2 DLC challenges. So let's head on over here, and head somewhere else. So going in order, we should go to here. So the DLC challenge is up there at the top of the stairs, so we'll be starting out with that next time, because this one's kind of a doozy. So, before we do that, let's see if there's anything else we can level up. Gravity Kick is a must for this mission for reasons that'll become apparent a little bit later on, and I would like to level up the Gravity Slide to max. So next time, we're going to finish up the challenges and maybe look for some lost souls if we have time afterwards. So thank you for watching, and I hope you'll join me next time for more Gravity Rush Remastered.